In this lecture, we're going to show the tool Lofted Boss Base. With Lofted Boss Base, we can add a material between two or more profiles to create a solid feature. So here we have one profile, second and third, and we're going to add a material between those profiles. So let's go to the feature step and let's choose a tool Lofted Boss Base. Here on the first step, we have to choose our profiles. So we're going to click on the first profile here, the second, and the third. If you don't see your preview, you can go here down under options and check show preview. If you didn't get this result, this is maybe because your connectors here are not on the same side. So we have those green dots here and they're connected with a line, and this is the connector. Now for example, if I click on this dot here and I drag this to this side, my solid feature will be twisted. So if that happens to you, you can just click on this dot and drag it here, and now everything is fine. So you can move those dots here, those connectors, like this, and you can define the shape of your solid feature, something like this. If you want something like this, if you don't want, you can just click on them and drag them to the position you want, like this. So let's go here, right click, and let's go with clear selection. So always make sure when you pick your profiles that you pick them on the same side. For example, if I click here, then my solid feature will be twisted. Let's delete this one. But if I click here on the same side, it won't be twisted. As well, if I click here, it's not twisted. But if it's twisted, you can move your connectors to the position that you want, like this. As well, you can right click on the connector, you can delete this connector, you can hide, or you can show all connectors. And now you can see the all connectors, and you can move those connectors along the line, like this. And now we got this result. You can move this one as well, and now we have something like this. Now if you want to go back to the initial state, you can right click, and you can go with reset connectors. And now everything is back to the initial state. You can also add a new connector. So if you want to add a new connector, you can go to the position where you want to add a new connector. For example, to this position, this edge, right click and add connector. And now here we have a new connector. If you want to delete this connector, you can right click and delete connector. So this is how you can work with connectors. Now if you're satisfied with this, you can just click OK. Now let's go to the loft. We can click here and edit feature. And now we're going to show some other techniques how we can control the shape of our solid feature. So let's click here on the start and constraint. So with this we can define the constraint on the first profile and on the last profile here. So for a start constraint, by default we have none. We can click here and we have few options here. We can go with direction vector and we can go normal to profile. Now let's check normal to profile. And now here we have this arrow. Here we can define the tangent length and the draft angle. So for example, we can go with tangent length to 5. And now we can see the difference in the shape. As well, we can click on this arrow and we can define the tangent length by adjusting this arrow like this. Here we have draft angle. We can also increase and decrease the draft angle. And now we can see the changes. As well, if we go here to the end constraint, we also have those options, direction vector and normal to profile. Let's choose normal to profile. Here we also have this vector and we can also control the tangent length by moving this arrow or by typing here the value of the tangent length or draft angle. Now let's go here to the start constraint and let's choose direction vector. Here we have to choose direction vector and we're going to choose this center line, like this. And now we can see that our direction vector goes along this center line. Here we can also define the tangent length and the draft angle. So we can move this arrow and we can change the shape of our feature. As well, we have this option for the end constraint here, direction vector. Now let's go back to the default. Let's choose default here. Let's choose default here, like this. And now let's click OK. Now let's go to the loft, right click and let's delete this loft. Now let's create a sketch on the front plane, like this. Let's go normal too. And let's choose a spline. So let's start with the spline here. Let's go here and here, like this. And now let's click on this point, hold Ctrl and this line, and let's make pierce relation, like this. Let's click on this point, this line, pierce, as well here, this point, this line, pierce. This line will be our guide curve. So let's now exit sketch. Let's go to features and let's choose Lofted Boss base. Now we're going to choose those three profiles, this one, and this one. Now here we have an option to add a guide curves. We can add one or more guide curves. So let's click here and let's choose this guide curve, like this. As well, we can choose here normal to profile, like this. We can change the angle, draft angle here, and we can go with direction vector. For example, we can choose this center line. And now here we can change the draft angle, like this. Now let's click here and let's go with none. Now let's go down here, and here we can check thin feature. And now we got this result. So here we can define the thickness, and here we can choose direction. We can go one direction, mid plane, and two directions, like this. Now if you're satisfied with this, we can just hit OK. And now we're gonna show how the guide curve can influence on the shape of the model. So let's open another file of the Lofted Boss base. Let's go to Window, and let's open this one. So here we have two profiles and two guide curves. So let's go to the features. Let's choose Lofted Boss base. And now let's choose this profile and this profile. And now we got this result. But now here for the guide curves, we're gonna choose this guide curve and this guide curve here, like this. Although those two edges don't have guide curves, they change their shape, because here we have guide curve influence type, and by the default we have to next guide. So this guide curve shape will influence to this guide, and this guide curve will influence to this guide, but will also have a little influence on those two edges here. Here if we choose global, then we got the same result. Those guide curves will influence the whole solid feature. But if we don't want this, we can choose here to next edge, like this. And now as you can see, those two edges are straight. They're not under influence of those two guide curves, because this guide curve only influence to the next edge, to this edge, but doesn't influence that edge and also this edge. If you want that those guide curves will influence whole of the model, you can go here and you can choose global. And now you can see how automatically the shape of this edge changed. So those are some options that you can use when you create your guide curves. Here you can control the influence of your guide curves on the solid feature.